Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. Really, really appreciate it. I know there's a million other things that you all could be doing, but you all chose to come here to this partner event. We're really excited to be featuring Royal Cyber today on site here at Seattle, and excited for today's conversation on Agentic AI. Who in the room is using Agentic AI tool on a daily basis? All right, only one person in the room, 2 people, okay. We're really excited about what Royal Cyber is doing. They're very much an up-and-coming partner of AWS, and we're doing a lot of different projects. Yes, Laura?
What is Agentic AI?
Anyone want to answer?
Yeah, it's the AI, the full autonomous AI that is purpose-built, has an end goal, and can reason on your objective tasks. And it does all of that with very minimal human supervision.
I didn't mean to interrupt. It was more like maybe people are using Agentic AI and they didn't know it. That was kind of where I was coming from. So
good point. Thank you, Laura. Thank you all for coming. So Royal Cyber are very much an up-and-coming partner of AWS. They're working on some innovative solutions, helping customers around the world. So excited for today's conversation. We have a very packed agenda for today. We want this to be interactive and conversational, right? So feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions, and please feel free to stay afterwards for one-on-one chatting with the Royal Cyber team and also the AWS team as well. And then we'll also have a happy hour at Victor's Tavern right across the street on the other side of the Spheres afterwards, starting at 5:15 p.m. Awesome. Well, without further ado, over to you, Imran.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tyrus.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Imran. I'm one of the directors for technology sales at Royal Cyber. A little bit about who we are and what we do, and just before we begin, high-level agenda, as Travis mentioned, the agenda is packed, but we'd like to keep it as interactive as possible. We'll be covering a little bit about the fundamentals of why agentic, why now. We started from a POC stage to production stages, and companies continue to invest in agentic AI applications as well as the infrastructure. So we're going to be looking at some of that. My colleague McKinnon was going to walk through some of the use cases in Bedrock. What is Bedrock? And some of the use cases, particularly in Bedrock. Then we'll hand over to Juzer, and we're going to walk through, my colleague, who's a solution architect, who's going to walk through the transformation journey. You know, we all know chatbots, right? And bots in general. The journey from bots to agents and AI agents in particular. So we'll walk through all of that. And then my colleague, Sarmad, is going to just complete the whole session with a few live demos on our Royal Cyber Agentic AI solutions called ClassBuddy, Nora AI, and a few other knowledge-based IT help desk solutions. So welcome aboard, everybody. Appreciate all you joining in today. Next slide, please. So that's my whole team today, my staff, and Sayed, he's my Senior Vice President for Technology at Royal Cyber. He's going to walk us through a little bit about who is Royal Cyber, what we do in Royal Cyber, and of course myself, Imran, Juzer, who's serving as a product manager as well as solution architect, and then Sarmad, who's built out some fantastic AI solutions that are currently live in production with many of our clients, and of course McKinnon, who's serving as a generative AI specialist at Amazon. Okay. Yep, Syed, if you want to cover this.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. This is Syed Bashir, one of the Senior Vice President at Royal Cyber. Who is Royal Cyber? We are like IT solutions and professional service providers. We've been in the industry for more than 2 decades. Advanced AI partners of Amazon, AWS. And we are building a lot of solutions, and we are close to like around 2,500 resources worldwide. We're based out in Chicago. It's a global organization. We have a presence in Canada, Mexico, London, UK, Sydney, Australia, New Zealand, Middle East countries like Saudi, Dubai, a big offshore in India and Pakistan. So we have deployed a lot of projects in Agentic AI, and today we have many solutions with Juzer and Sarmad. They're going to talk about it, as well as they're going to demo the solutions. And please feel free to ask questions. Let's make it more interactive so that we can answer all your questions and make sure that you learn something from this session. With that, I will give it to Juzer, maybe. Imran, please.
And I want to reemphasize, want to keep it interactive. We don't want to turn this into a boring presentation. So please ask questions, stop at any time. We have sufficient time to answer all your questions. We will, however, have a dedicated Q&A, but feel free to stop us anytime. Okay. These are some of the customers that we have worked with. Some of them are Fortune 50 and Fortune 100. We like to call ourselves as industry agnostic, but we've built industry specialization and domain experience from banking and finance to retail and manufacturing and healthcare, which goes to show that we're able to not only serve using technology, we're also able to serve customers using our industry domain expertise. And all of the enterprise solution architects we have, they all work together in a lab setting to be able to serve our customers and understand their roadmap and their customer pain points. Over the last couple of years and more recently, we've built many solutions. A few of them we were going to discuss today, but this is a high level of some of the accelerators and solutions that we work with our enterprises to fast track their migration, their modernization, and also look at their existing infrastructure to help out. So for example, as we're going to walk through ClassBuddy as well as Nora AI, one of the other areas that I want to call out is GoTest Pro. Now, what is GoTest Pro? It's a 100% codeless test automation platform. You don't need to learn how to code. It's not a low code, it's 100% no code. Allows you to test out all your web application, API testing, unit testing, and you don't need to learn coding at all. All you do is pre-built test cases, execute it, and the idea with GoTest Pro is to be able to bring it to AWS Marketplace to be able to serve customers together. A high-level snapshot of what we do, a very proud partner of AWS, again, better together. We've been a AWS partner for so many years. Quite recently, we're building out our expertise and specialty in generative AI capabilities, particularly Q. And then on the roadmap, we also have Bedrock and other solutions. Overall, as a snapshot, we have delivered over 100 AWS projects. And a high-level breakdown, they're across migration and modernization. So any enterprise that's looking to understand a partner who can help them create a roadmap, Royal Cyber is well positioned to serve them. There are also managed services that we've done a lot of projects, successful projects with enterprise customers as well as large enterprise customers as well. Overall, the overall approach we take being an advanced tier services partner is advise, innovate and modernize, implement and automate, and optimize and manage. So this is a end-to-end, full-scale cloud ops managed services available to all enterprises. Okay. We'll probably skip a few slides, but just a high level. What is the business opportunity with? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about the GoTest Pro product you were talking about.
Sure.
Has it been kind of implemented in any cases? And if yes, successfully, could you give some examples?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. Can I have your name?
Ella.
Ella. So Ella, GoTest Pro, we built this nearly 10 years ago. And it came from a real customer case story. And they had a use case. We worked with all of our enterprise solution architects to build it out. We currently have many customers utilizing it today. One of the most important use cases with a platform like GoTest Pro is that it has the ability to generate test cases out of the box. So think of the platforms like ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workday, Adobe, and many others. It comes out of the box with those test cases. And not only you have the ability to execute those tests from a unit test or smoke test or CI/CD testing, you can use the test cases from the library that are available to you. So the use cases, most of them are building out the test cases, utilizing from the pre-configured library, but also execution of the test cases. One of the beautiful things about GoTest Pro is you can have parallel testing, and we can go on more detail, but there are big enterprise customers that were using open source testing frameworks like Selenium, Cypress, and so many others out of the market, and replace their testing with GoTest Pro, which supports hundreds of applications sitting in their systems. If that answers the question. Excellent. Thank you. Going back, what is the business opportunity with Agentic AI? You know, 2023 and 2024 was really a time for enterprises to experiment with Agentic AI. And while companies are shifting away from POCs to real-time prod level applications, in general, 77% of the enterprises are still experimenting. Now the experiments have become more mature. It was, you know, hey, AI is a shiny toy, to now a real-time impacted value, which has the potential to completely transform the organization. As per Gartner, if you moved it back to this previous slide, 70% or over 70% of enterprises will deploy AI agents to run business operations. Now, we're not looking at 2050. This is next year. This is next year coming on about. We're already halfway through 2025. And Gartner rarely goes wrong with their research. And so this is the perfect time, perfect opportunity to work on those use cases, to evaluate, to build out those roadmaps, and come up with those implementation analysis for your enterprises. Next slide. Why now is the right time for Agentic AI? A lot of enterprises are asking, well, why should we invest? Part of the biggest reason is mature foundation models. A couple years ago, you know, you started out with ChatGPT and other mature models, but those were for general personal user stuff. You know, companies were still using it as a chatbot functionality, but now we have more mature foundation models like Nova, Claude, Titan, GPT, and also offered by AWS. And most of these deployments are scalable and secure, which a couple years ago, just 2 years ago, was not even scalable like that. So that explains why now is the right time. You have all the plug-and-play solutions with mature AI models with very little to no hallucinations. Please. These are some of the use cases I like for all to sort of walk through it. But as an example for IT support, we keep on hearing this a lot from our enterprise clients. Help desk agents and system admins are still going through knowledge base to figure out their solution to that problem. And even if the response is just right there, just still spending an hour to find, an hour, maybe 30 minutes to find that answer. And that question keeps on coming in. How do I connect to VPN? How do I install Zoom? How do I install this? What is my security policy on XYZ? Well, the answer is just right there. They want to get self-service. How do you get to self-service? AI is the answer. Okay. There are some of the use cases on marketing and support use cases. And we, you know, in the interest of time, we can quickly skim through. But just quickly, we have internally deployed many AI use cases and application frameworks internally in Royal Cyber. Just for perspective, we've saved about currently save about 3 hours per week per user. That translates to around $11 million saved per year. And that's a huge win for us. Multiply that by 100, depending on each of your enterprise applications and whatever organizations that you'll be working with on different applications. Okay. With that, I'll invite my colleague, my friend, Kenan, to walk through a little bit on Bedrock. Kenan, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Imran. I want to introduce myself. I'm McKinnon Robinson, so I'm a solutions architect here at AWS. I directly support the Royal Cyber team. And here we'll keep it pretty short and sweet, but I want to go over a little bit of building agents on Bedrock. So this will be a relatively technical lens and just walk through some of the steps to do that and some of the lower code options that we have to build those out. So first off, before we dive into Bedrock, is anyone here already familiar with Bedrock? I know we have some employees. Nice. So I'll give a high-level overview of Bedrock before we start diving in deeper into some of the features that we have for Agentic AI. But really, what I think is the most powerful about Bedrock is being able to choose your foundation model. So when we built Bedrock for customers, a big part of that was being able to have that singular API, that singular entry point that you could go into and actually pick that foundation model. And that goes back to that idea of picking the best model for the use case, right? So the benefit of having all of these models is you can go out and say, okay, we have this task that we like to complete with agents, can find the model that supports that in terms of performance and also latency. And Bedrock makes that prototyping very easy. And next, we'll also talk a little bit about optimization as well. So the benefits of Bedrock being a fully managed service is it's optimized for these things like cost, latency, and accuracy. So this is fully abstracted from you. So when you go out and actually want to start using these foundation models, picking them for your specific use case, you don't actually have to worry about the speed and the latency, and you're purely just paying for what you use, which is really powerful for prototyping these agentic workflows as you go. And next is actually having this customization as well. So you have this fully managed platform. You can choose these foundation models, but you can also customize these models with your own data. So when you go out, you can fine tune these models and actually start building that and training on your specific data set. And there's a couple other things too that we'll dive in deeper as we keep going. But at a high level, Bedrock just going to be that single entry point for generative AI applications in that fully managed context on AWS and speed up building a lot of these workflows. And here's where we'll start getting into more of the nuts and bolts of the features that we have with Bedrock specifically for agents. So we talked about model choice, and I think it's hard to overstate the power of that in terms of going out, picking the best model for the use case. It's really important, specifically when you start launching these applications from POCs into production, is making sure that you have the right model for your use case. And next is agents. So the core of this conversation is really about agents. And Bedrock makes it really easy to go out, define these agents with natural language prompts, and define what you want to do in the task that you want to accomplish. And Bedrock has the scaffolding and the scaling for you to do that from a POC stage, also all the way into production. And third, and a newer feature is Amazon Bedrock Flows. This is one that I think is really powerful as well. This is more from the no code perspective or lower code perspective of you actually being able to go out and build these advanced and complicated workflows of these agents, and actually learning how to coordinate them and classify certain things can become really powerful in that context, and really allows non-technical users to go out and build these very complex workflows as you start launching your applications with agents. And then also for the multi-agent collaboration, this is also a relatively new feature. So Bedrock recently announced at reInvent this multi-agent collaboration. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but this is really going back to actually being able to scale the agents and optimize them for certain tasks and increase that success rate. So we'll start with the agents here and just work through these 4 steps in terms of actually deploying them and what the steps look like for building those out on Bedrock. So first, again, it all goes back to this foundation model, right? And this is the first step in determining that and picking that for the use case. And you can prototype too. So you don't have to have all the answers when you first start building these agents and building these workflows. But with this singular API, it makes it really easy for you to pick that foundation model and then change it later on if your use case changes or if you feel like you're not meeting the performance requirements that you'd like to see. And next too is when you start building these agents out is getting these basic instructions, right? So you just define the task that you want this agent to complete with Bedrock, and you can iteratively refine this over time. But Bedrock makes it really easy to have that scaffolding of this is the task I want to accomplish, and this is how I'm going to describe it to the agent. You can work from there in terms of refinement. And third is selecting these relevant data sources. So another powerful feature with Bedrock is actually being able to integrate your company data. And sometimes that data stays changing. So you can keep it actually up to date with Bedrock and these agents by having this knowledge base of these data sources that are connected to your application. So as these things are changing, the application's aware of these. And this becomes really powerful with agents as well, staying in sync with the business and not requiring any input from you other than making sure that you have your data up to date. And fourth is where you can actually start getting into really some of the nuts and bolts of the agents. So actually specifying the actions through API calls. So you can use Lambda, which is our serverless function service. And that gives you the ability to find these actions. So for example, if I have a product review come in through an email, and we'll talk a little bit more about this use case in the next slide, but you can actually take that agent and have that product review get posted somewhere, stored in a database. And that's where that fourth step becomes powerful. And next is Bedrock Flows. So this is that drag and drop interface. So relatively low code in terms of defining these and building these complicated workflows. It can be really useful for your teams too if they don't come from an extremely technical background, actually being able to give them this interface, build these workflows out, and have this visual representation of what's happening. So as you start building these applications up from a POC and start scaling them into production, these workflows get really complicated. So having this visual view into what's happening and also being able to actually see where the errors are occurring and tracing through this workflow becomes really, really useful for not only the technical folks, but also those less technical folks. And next, we also have version control and aliasing, which really kind of goes back to this core idea with Bedrock about making sure that you're able to launch these apps, not only in a POC form, but also into production. So when you start having these complex workflows, it's really important to make sure that you have versions associated with them, you have aliases associated with them. So if things start breaking or if things change, you're able to revert back those and make sure that that production workflow is still operating at full capacity. And finally, we'll talk about this multi-agent collaboration. So again, this started out at reInvent, it's just recently released and became generally available. But the multi-agent collaborations really where the industry is starting to head in terms of agentic AI. And there's really interesting numbers in terms of performance associated with this multi-agent collaboration. So based on some studies internally, we found that multi-agent collaboration actually led to tasks being completed 40% more by using this. And the core idea with multi-agent collaboration is to take this leader agent and have it able to divert tasks into these smaller agents, which is really useful as you start scaling this up and you start adding more agents over time, right? So back to that core idea of POC to production and scaling over time, this multi-agent collaboration makes that easy to add these agents, add more over time. And you still have that leader node that's able to distinguish and determine where to send those workflows. And this has just been a brief overview of what Bedrock does. We could spend days talking about all the features and it's changing every day, but thanks for coming, talking about some of this, and feel free to ask questions as well after the end, but thank you.
Thanks, McKinnon. Hi, I'm User Ali. I work as a solutions architect here at Royal Cyber. I'm just going to build a little bit on top of what McKinnon talked about, agents and multi-agentic frameworks. So think about the time, like, when you interacted with a chatbot that actually solved your problem versus one that just frustrated you. What was the problem? It's probably because it was able to understand the context better. It was probably able to, perform some actions better on the back end. So I think that's where we're headed with the, multi-agentic AI. And just talk a little bit about the evolution of AI agents, right? We started with just LLM prompts where the LLMs would just respond to pre-trained data, right? And then came the retrieval, like RAG came in along the way. So now it can access some knowledge sources to retrieve data from there. Then came along actions. So now we have these agents which can actually call some API endpoints. So based on the input, it can call an API and get some real world task accomplished, right? Then came tools and reasoning loops. So now we can have these multi-step processes that can be achieved using LLMs and agents. So that's kind of like change the game. And now we have these multi-agent systems. So now we have agents which have access to RAG, which can perform actions, which can have reasoning loops. And now we have these groups of different agents which can work together to perform some complex tasks, right? So what I'm going to do is talk about a kind of framework that we have built here at Royal Cyber, which is powered by most of the technologies that McKinnon was talking about, right? So we built this framework to address some of our own use cases, and we are talking to a couple of customers in the healthcare industry, in the legal industry. So this is kind of like a virtual receptionist that we created, and it was kind of designed to automate some of the manual tasks, tedious tasks, like somebody calls in for an appointment, they get put on hold for 5 minutes, and then the call gets disconnected, rescheduling, right? Refill requests. So we built this kind of small framework to address these issues, and we're calling it Nora AI. So it's kind of vertical agnostic, can be used by any industry. It has like speech capabilities, which are being powered by the Novasonic service from AWS, and it also can help you build a workflow similar to what you saw in Bedrock, to build your own custom workflows. So couple of success stories. So I want to hone it on the healthcare side. So we were working with a clinic. They had issues with scheduling. So we basically built a solution for them. So now you call in, greeted by an AI agent. It's going to help you schedule your appointments, reschedule, cancel, talk about the different services that the clinic provides. So there's some RAG going on in the back end as well. It can create, refill requests, for example. So, we address some of these issues, and you can read about some of these here. I'm going to share the slides too, so you can look at some of the other solutions. But what I really want to do is just do like a quick live demo, call one of the test, instances that we have, and just give you a glimpse of what we built, and that will be followed by some more demos that we have built using our other solutions to, especially in the ed tech industry, which Sarmad, my colleague, will be showing. So let's try this demo out. May the gods be with me.
Hello, John Wick. Thank you for calling Skin and Body Bar. This is Nora, your AI voice assistant. How may I help you?
So I called earlier and told him that my name is John Wick, so he remembers my name. What kind of services do you offer?
At Skin and Body Bar, we offer a range of medical and wellness spa services, including weight loss, IV and hormone therapy, hair loss treatments, Botox, fillers, and primary care services. Our medical services are designed to provide...
Can you tell me more about your facial services?
Certainly. Our facial services include a variety of treatments designed to
like.
enhance your skin's health and appearance. We offer deep cleansing facials, hydrating treatments, anti-aging.
Can I schedule a deep cleansing facial appointment?
Sure thing. Let me check the available options for a deep cleansing facial. Just a moment, please. Here are two great options for a deep cleansing facial. 1, signature customized facial. This pampering and personalized facial is tailored to your unique skin needs, offering a combination of cleansing, exfoliation, hydration, and treatment products. It's priced at $90 and lasts for about an hour. 2, Hydrofacial Deluxe. This advanced treatment offers deep cleanse.
Are there any cancellation fees if I don't show up?
For a no-show, the cancellation fee is $45 for the signature customized facial and $137 for the Hydrofacial Deluxe. Would you like to proceed with booking one of these facials?
Yes, let's go for the signature one.
Great choice. The signature customized facial can be booked with any of our skilled estheticians. Jada Pratt, Sarah Hassel, and Katie Brown. Who would you like to book your appointment with?
Let's book it with Katie.
Perfect. Now, what time would you like to schedule your signature customized facial with Katie Brown?
Sometime next week, preferably in the morning.
Got it. Let me find available morning slots for next week with Katie Brown. Just a moment, please. Here are the available morning slots for your signature customized facial with Katie Brown on July 2nd. 9 a.m., 10:15 a.m.
Let's go with 9 a.m.
Your appointment with Katie Brown for the signature customized facial is confirmed for 9 a.m. on July 2nd. We look forward to seeing you. If you have any
it
more
created the
questions,
appointment for me, and then I got a text message saying that, it's integrated with Square basically. So I get a text message saying the appointment scheduled, and I can just call back and reschedule, cancel it if I like. So just a small demo that I wanted to share that we built using this platform. For the next set of demos, I'd like to invite Sarmad from my team, who's got a bunch of really exciting demos to show you. Sarmad, take it away.
Thank you, Vijay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking this time out. My name is Sarmad Afzal. I work as an AI engineer. And today I'm going to show you the demos that we have built around EdTech industry. And the first one is called Classberry. So it's a virtual teaching assistant that basically simplifies your classroom learning experience. Let's take a moment and watch this video.
Meet Mr. Johnson, a passionate teacher facing a common dilemma. Too many assignments to grade, endless questions from students, and not enough hours in the day. How can he ensure every student gets the support they need without compromising his own well-being? Using ClassBuddy.ai, an intuitive platform lets Mr. Johnson to create custom AI assistant for his classroom in minutes. For his science class, where students often struggle with complex concepts, Mr. Johnson sets up a science coach assistant. With just a few clicks, he configures it to provide instant, personalized feedback on lab reports, homework, and even class participation. Emily, one of Mr. Johnson's students, often feels lost when studying at home. Usually, she's too shy to ask questions in class, but now she can rely on her science coach assistant anytime, anywhere. Together, they break down complex problems step by step, turning confusion into clarity. The assistant even suggests ways to improve her answers, boosting her confidence.
All right.
Mr. Johnson.
All right. So let me put all of you into a student's shoe, right? So you joined a university and then you're taking a class which is about 70, 80 students. And there's a professor who shows up, comes to the class, it's a 1-hour class and throws a lot of new concepts at you. It's like bombarding, right? Very difficult to grasp everything at once, right? And then you're a student who is enrolled into 3 more classes in the same quarter. And then there are like 70 students. So it is very difficult to grasp everything at once. So they provide you with some resources, the resources which is your TA. Then you have your peers or maybe some learning management system that have the content, right? So I'm just naming 3, but probably there are like a lot of sources or resources where you have to go and pick the right information and get your concepts clear, right? So the idea over here is that if you are running into trouble, you don't have to wait for your human TA to give you a response, which I mean would be another student in the university, maybe in a senior program than you, right? And is also serving other sections as well. So that basically creates delays in getting up to the pace with the course, right? With the course content. So over here, this is a virtual TA which is connected to all those learning management systems, has the same knowledge about the course content, about the course logistics, and other details or announcements being posted by your professor. And you don't have to wait for anyone to give you a response. You can just go, log in, and get whatever information you need about a particular class, right? So what you see over here is that 2 of the students asking 2 different questions, right? And then there are like, again, different sources where you can or may not find that information. But you have the AI, which is ClassBuddy, sitting in between, and that's your interface now. It is going to take care of finding the information from respective tool or the system, but it's just like a single point of truth for a student, and it's going to get you the information that you need. So the thing is that this tool itself comes as a separate URL. You can go log in and chat with the virtual teaching assistant. But if today you are using any learning management system, we have implemented LTI integrations, which means your student don't have to hop on different applications or URLs. Rather, it can sit inside Canvas, which is one of the learning management systems used in the universities. Next, I'm going to take you to the demo, and we'll see it live in action. Would be a little difficult if I can move this around. Thank you. All right. So here we can see like one of the courses that I've set up. This is for control systems, right? And then I can go ask questions which are related to the concept of the course. I can even go and ask questions which are related to the logistics of the classroom, right? So let's start. There is a concept called block diagrams in control system, and I can write like now you'll see like it's going to get information from the learning management system, which basically means that the information that we are getting is not hallucination, not the generation from the large language model itself, but it is coming from the connected sources, right? I can go and try another question. help me understanding the difference between SI, and MI controllers. Again, these are some technical stuff that I picked up from the lecture notes, but being taught in the course. Right. So it's going to give, again, like you can see, like it's giving you responses around, those topics, right? And then let's try a question which is about the logistics of the classroom. So I'm asking about any, announcement that is made in the classroom, right? So it's going to give you the announcement, like when it was created, who posted, what was the content, and then there is a link as well. So if I click on the link, it's going to take me to the Canvas instance wherever that information was actually posted by the professor. Coming back to it, similarly, you have discussions going on in the classroom. We can try that too. I didn't click. Oh, yep, just a second. Let's go back to the course and ask the question again. So you can see, like, it is giving me a discussion that is around a topic that is being discussed in the classroom, right? And then the interesting thing is that it even knows who are you, as you are a student or you are enrolled in a group or what's going on, right? So I can say, like, am I part of any of the student groups? So I'm not, right? And then I can ask about, tell me about project groups. See, like there are some groups and there are like 2 members in each of the groups. So this is how you can use this tool. And you can be more creative in asking questions like, which I am a lazy student. Help me get an A grade in it. Right? It's going to give you some structured way of learning the concepts, right? So that you can come up to the pace and get a better grade in it, right? It also references time when it is giving the information. So I can, let's assume I started a new chat, I missed the last class, and I go and ask it, right? I wasn't feeling well. Can you tell me what did we learn in the last class? I must be mistyping a lot. Pardon me for that. It picks up. So these are the lecture notes and things that we studied in the previous classes. Right. So any question which you guys would like to try? Yeah.
Quick question. So I see that it says that your interaction with the virtual TA will be saved. Is that like a guardrail so that I don't ask, as a student, I don't ask questions about an assignment and ask the AI to do the entire assignment for me?
It's a very good question, and it actually came in as a requirement. So we did a pilot with one of our universities, and there they mentioned like the information or the interaction with that chatbot must not be saved. How we are ensuring privacy, right? So we had to mention that disclaimer over there because the interactions that you're doing are going to be saved and can only be viewed by that professor for which the TA is param. So that if there is a contradiction, students like me can say, like your TA mentioned, the deadline is next week, but the actual deadline was today, right? So they can always go and cross-reference, right? So that's like the student view for this virtual TA. And then I'm going to show you a view that basically professor sees. All right. So before we deep dive into it, I want to revisit the 4, pillars of Bedrock agents that McKinnon mentioned. So the first one, you have to pick up a basic large language model, the foundation model. Next, That is the instruction that you have to provide. Third, the knowledge. And finally, if there are any actions, right? So here you can see like we are setting up the entire TA where we are providing names of the professors or the human TA or whatever you want to call this virtual TA. Then there is this course timeline. It could be a term, it could be a quarter, start date and end date. And then you have the prompts, right? What you want to give it as a welcome message, some prompt conversation starters, and then the instructions piece that McKinnon was mentioned, right? Moving forward, we have the other option, which is data sources. Again, the knowledge that you have to provide to the AI so that it can give responses. So the second thing, like for this specific TA, I've integrated Canvas where you have to provide credentials, and then you have the leverage to pick like what different sections you want to connect to Canvas, like to get information from. Then you have access management. It has role-based access. You can create groups based on class, and then only those students would be able to get access to it. Then there are like some advanced options, which basically lets you optimize the large language model's behavior, the creativity, the repeatability of the model. And then you can also do some parameter configuration like top P, top K, which can help you optimize for the cost, because it's like per token consumption, right? Moving forward, you might don't want to go and manually resync with the new data or the changes that are happening in your data sources. So you can schedule the pipelines. Maybe I'm a professor and I have a class which ends every Monday, 1:30 p.m. So I can fix the time in here. And after that time, it is going to bring in whatever changes you have posted there. Then, of course, there are some analytics that gives you a holistic view about how the interactions are going on with your virtual TA. And then you have option to integrate it into learning management systems using LTI standards. And then this is the chat history thing that you're mentioning. So it gives you entire traceability. It does not just like it gave you an answer. So for this specific question, if I see, it actually called this function. This function is basically the action which he was describing in the presentation. So it took an action, and from there it make an API call and get the data that it was like parsing again to give you the context, right? So we can open this up and see like it called this function. From there it got this information from Canvas and gave me a like very nice natural language response, right? And finally you have pipeline status, which basically gives you the status of the last sync that happened, right? Now I'm going to come back to my slides. I'm going to move towards the second demo. So yeah, before that, this is the architecture that looks like today on AWS. And just to highlight, we are going to have this specific class buddy tool into AWS Marketplace very, very soon. Moving forward, this is the second use case, which is about IT help desk multi-agentic systems. So let's look at the problems that we have. So what we usually see is just the top of the glacier, which is like everybody complaining. We are overloaded with like support ticket and stuff. But underneath, if we see like there are a lot of repetitive tasks that are happening that are very trivial and can be replaced with some automation systems. So repetitive questions, manual task, and escalation confusions. Every company in their ticketing system would have some certain metrics or severity index, which defines like how high it has to be escalated. So these kind of issues, which are creating overload on that support, can be replicated using agentic systems, which is like for basic questions about how to set up a VPN, or how can I get like Office 365 suite in my laptop, right? So these kind of things can be answered with the help of Agentic AI, and it's going to take away a lot of burden from your IT support. So this is how the high-level architecture looks like. In the center, you have the multi-agentic orchestration system, which again, McKinnon was explaining is like you have a master agent, which basically delegate tasks to the sub-agents, right? So we have in that multi-agentic architecture, we have sub-agents, which is knowledge agent that gets data from your knowledge base, depending upon the intent of the user. right? Then a ticket agent creates a ticket on your behalf, fills form on your behalf, query data on your behalf, and finally a routing agent, that's like your triage agent. Routing is being done using your orchestrator, and it can be prompted to do intent-based routing, department-based routing, or however you want to orchestrate it, right? So then basically at certain points, if you want to escalate, you might want to invoke human in the loop. You're not going to leave everything on AI, right? So there is that element as well. And finally, it's going to give you some long-term benefits and automation of all those trivial tasks that were being done by humans today. If we look on the right side, this is how the execution flow looks like. User sends a request, and from there, that specific question, we identify the intent that gets classified. After classifying, we identify the category, either it is related to the IT agent, or it is related to HR agent, or it's with the support agent, right? And then the task automation thing happens. And at any point, if you want to do escalation, we're going to invoke human in the loop. Otherwise, it is going to execute that task and get you the results, right? So let's look at the overall architecture flow from agentic AI point of view. So user sends a task, it goes to a Bedrock agent where it has prompts, conversation history, actions, and knowledge-based instructions, right? Then it invokes a model from Bedrock. Could be Anthropic, could be Nova, or could be any model that is available, right? Then as soon as the model gets invoked, it has started the chain of thought process. It's going to break that. It's going to identify which sub-agent I have to call, or even I have to call a sub-agent or no, right? It breaks that down. And from there, it's going to pass the query to one of the sub-agents, and then it decides, okay, this is the action group I have to call if it has to interact with the environment. If not, then it is probably going to get information from the knowledge base. Once we have the context response from the environment, the knowledge, the connected sources, it's going to pass that context back to the Bedrock model from where it generates the final response and passes on back to the user. Okay, let's see the demo for this one. Let me just prepare this one. Hang on a moment. No, I'm good. Just logging this in. So this is how our AI agent bot looks like. So here you see like different agents, but these are mostly your master agents, which have like sub agents connected, right? So as you see, like we have TDX agent, TDX a tool, Team Dynamics, which basically is a ticketing solution, is basically a knowledge-based solution, right? So you can go and start talking to it, and you can see like we have different questions set up. I can start asking a question like, how to set up VPN. So you'll see like the question basically goes to the router agent, which basically is the master agent over here. And then it decides based on the intent of the question and hands off to another agent. So in this case, you can see it passed on to the TDX knowledge base agent. And from there, it looked into the knowledge repository and got you the answer. Let's try another question. Tell me about so again, these are like their policies which they have defined in their knowledge base. And from there, it's going to go and get that specific information for you. And now you see like I am inside a sub agent. And from here, you'll see like how smartly it is going to route to another agent, which is specified for, helping you get details about a faculty or a staff. So the moment it identified the intent of the user, it passed me on to another, agent, which is another sub agent. So I'll provide my CNET. And from there, it is going to make an API call to the databases, and from there get the details. As you can see, like I cannot see, but it says like last active date, expiration date, and all, right? So there is another agent which basically helps you set up your email aliases. And let's try that one. So again, it identified the intent and routed me to the specialized email alias agent. So there is a process that is defined, like first it has to send me an email. That email will contain the email alias policy for that school. Right now, my email is not with them. So I think it mentioned like there was some problem sending, but I'm gonna send it pass it another email address. All right, so let me see if I got this one. I didn't. Okay. Let's assume that it has sent the email, right? I'm gonna tell it like I received the email. So next step that is that's gonna tell me that have you read the policy or no? I'm gonna say yes. Now it is showing me that this is the current alias, and I'm gonna suggest it that I wanna change it to something else. Let's say so now it won't be able to make it because the name of the user is different and what I'm trying is different. But the idea over here is that these are the tasks that are being done by humans today, and they are meant to be like repetitive, right? Trivial tasks that can be automated using these kind of AI agentic flows, right? And then we can be used for more productive stuff. I'll stop this one over here if you want to try any question or if you have any question. Yep.
I had a question from the previous TA agent.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask, like, what is stopping students from using it for cheating? Like, if they get a coding assignment, what if they just ask the TA agent, like, can you do this code for me?
So the thing is, there are guardrails. I think I just skimmed through it, but in that instruction piece, you have guardrails. So there you can define what they're supposed to do and what you want to restrain them from doing.
Okay.
And then from the data source point of view, we are just exposing the description that is defined. Okay, the assignment is going to be from this specific topic. These are the points. These are the scores, deadlines. We're not giving them actual questions. Otherwise, there is no point, right? Yep.
For this example, at what point does it take you to a live person if it's not able to process or it's not able to give you the answer or keeps it
right? Can I use it for a moment? I want to show something. So let's start a new chat. And then there is a question. I want to set up Zoom, right? So for this specific use case, they have set up a count of 2. 2 times the user is not satisfied, it is going to let you to escalate that issue. I'll show you this right now. Let's say I say, this is not correct. Again, I say like, I'm not set this quite. You see, like the moment that count became 2 for dissatisfaction, it routed me to email escalation agent. And from there, it'll say like, you would like to escalate. I'm going to say yes. And from there, what does it say? Can you read it for me?
So thank you for confirming.
Yep. Yep. It's difficult from here, but now you can see like it has created a draft email, right? It has a subject, it has a body and stuff, right? And finally, I can say yes. This basically is going to send them an email and create a ticket that I'm not going to do, but this is how you can escalate the issues, right? Anything else?
That's the end of the presentation, everybody. Any more questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question from the beginning. So some of the logos that you had were Freedom Mortgage and SWBC. If I can be a little selfish, what are some of the use cases that you helped with those customers or anyone in financial services regarding agentic AI?
As to what you say, recently we just did a GoTest Pro implementation. Full blown. We worked with them on their integration pieces for many years. So part of their use cases was they had like thousands of test cases across so many desktop, VDI, and applications. And they wanted a tool where they could utilize AI agents to build out not only the AI agent, but use AI to execute and create summary of the reports. In other words, they wanted to have a AI-generated bot that can create video reports of the events. And so we customized the GoTest Pro hosting platform for them. So the platform is so nimble that allows us to customize. So that use case was starting from building the test case to integrating and standing up their center of excellence for quality assurance, to then deploying and delivering all the use cases for so many platforms, internal Java applications, as well as the other enterprise applications that they were using. They are using at the enterprise. And that started out as a pilot program. Then quickly, in a few months' time, the GoTest Pro was started to enter into the entire IT landscape very quickly. And so right now, if I'm not mistaken, they're supporting nearly 50 applications, including their internal applications too, from building test cases to executing the test cases to building out the reports. One of the executives actually told us, like, I scheduled it on Friday night. I was at a beach with my family. Came back Monday morning, and I know exactly what to do with my dev teams. That's a huge win for us and for them.
Okay, so all on the developer side.
It's on the developer side, but also on the admin side too.
Okay.
You get all the executive dashboards also. You get calls, how many tokens. You get all those analytics in that report. Happy to set up a default solution demo with you and your folks.
Cool, thank you. And then one follow-up question. You at the beginning you said that you work with Agentic AI on a daily basis. Just curious what your personal use case is.
Yeah, our personal, that's a great question. It's ranging from, we started out with HR onboarding last year. A lot of time taking with our integration platforms with our payroll and taxation. We evaluated that it was taking about 10 days, between 7 to 10 days, to complete the entire paperwork to onboard someone. Not to mention the other back and forth going on with background checks and whatnot. That could be an additional couple of weeks. And so the idea was to, hey, can we utilize some AI agents to start automating? So it started with the automation workflow a couple of years ago. And then we integrated with our in-house solutions to create AI agents. And fast forward to today, we were able to onboard somebody as quickly as in 5 days. And that's a huge win for us, especially when we're working with clients on some contractual opportunities. We want to be nimble and be able to integrate consultants to our projects as quickly as possible. So we can't really afford having to go through weeks of onboarding time. So AI agents are able to go through the the payroll process, the onboarding of taxation documents or education credentials, project experience, and all of that. It reads through all of that information, puts together in a dashboard, scans through, and then there's a human in the loop. So we're able to, we evaluated that we saved about 70% of the time across each of those processes.
And I can tell you, like, I was the one who used to take interviews. It's like a lot of pain of my head. At least level 1, level 2 is there, right?
Yeah. And there's so many others from sales to finance to marketing to engineering but that was the beginning point where we realized, hey, this is for real. We actually saw the value in motion, in action, and I think we continued our journey. And now we're with AWS, we're trying to build more models, integrating those applications, connecting across the enterprise.
Great. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. Welcome.
I'm Sarabjit. I'm from healthcare and academia. And I have a question about a demo which we did a phone call in the office. In academia, we have a different setup, but in a private practice setup, I think the practice which you call is probably like skincare or something. So my question is, can the agent do anything else apart from scheduling also? Because typically the calls are different based on the practices. So I don't know if there's data around what percentage of the calls are trying to figure out scheduling. That sounds easy. Most of the questions are not easy. They're like descriptions, they're follow-up, patient. So that's one. And the second question related to that is more hypothetical. So patients work with the sort of a trust building with the physician. The moment they hear an AI agent, they probably hang up. Those sort of like 30s to 50s to 60s age group. And those who are older, they don't even sometimes don't even know how to pick up like apps and all that stuff. So the hypothetical question over there is, can you actually simulate somebody's voice? So like I've seen now videos like my picture and make a video out of it. But if you can take my voice and make that as an agent, so the other side will be a little bit more receptive. Oh, that's a familiar voice.
Yes, the first question. Yes, it is possible to do other things as well. For example, in this demo, the demo that we saw about the support desk. So, it's able to create tickets contact your ticketing system. It can send out emails. For the healthcare demo, I think our team still working on something where it's actually able to do like, prescription refills, for example. Second question, yes, theoretically possible, but I don't know like the ethical implications of doing something like that. But yeah, I mean, definitely, technically possible. Yeah.
I mean, there could be some people that don't really want to talk to. For sitting someone's, they're like, nope, I don't want to talk to you. But no, I think that leave it out.
And for the healthcare, I think most of the stuff that we're kind of automating via Agentic AI is like from the administrative side of things. Not from like the technical stuff, like the patient might want to ask some questions related to their health. That's some area that's still kind of being worked on. So.
More from the compliance perspective.
Yeah, administrative tasks. Most.
I agree with you that there is, and that it will take time to adapt. Customers still, while they want to save time, they still want the human connection.
Yes, healthcare is pretty diverse, as I said, like academia, you'll probably not get an easy adoption. But if you go to the other side of the, small or mid-sized physicians.
Yeah.
And I know multiple use cases where they are struggling to say, hey, you're close to Amazon. Do you have a solution? And I said, I don't know. We'll have to figure out this thing. But there are practices which are saying 10 to 20% of my call is just essentially handling this.
Totally agree. I think that's why we need.
From the moment they hear an AI agent, like an automated.
Want to hang up. That's why we need early adopters. In the end, idea is to not only cut costs, but also boost efficiency and reduce all that mundane work that goes in every day. But it can't happen without just not technology, but also people and process. So I think we all have to work together to really start adapting to some of these things and make those little changes as we go. That answer the question. Any additional?
Yes. Yeah. Since you have worked with so many of different verticals and so many businesses, so what is the typical turnaround time that you're seeing from requirement gathering phase to testing and actually deploying the solution, and how that evolved over the last few years?
I wish I could give one straight answer, but I'll leave that to you.
Good luck.
So with AI, I feel like there is a competition, right? Honestly, we did an implementation with the University of Chicago for 30,000 students campus-wide in just 6 weeks. Requirements. They were very clear from their leaders, right? But we made sure whatever requirements we gathered, we are going to have a structured plan and gonna deliver them in production in 6 weeks. So it's very fast. I mean, I think we are skilling up ourselves with tools that you see every day. There is a new functionality in Bedrock. So there's this research team that we have, which is just keep on learning new things, implementing, doing internal POCs, so that when we get a requirement from client, we are ready. So yeah.
Depends on the use case.
It also depends on the use.
You're deployed in 2 weeks.
Can I just also add, you all are familiar with the crawl, walk, run, fly stage. All of those things are great, but I'll probably add one more thing to that preliminary step, which is company data. If your data isn't uniform or structured, you can try to build AI solutions and integrate that to become a first adapter. But what you really should be doing is first improve or fix your data structures. They're sitting against in so many databases. There are no connections in between those databases. So no matter which outstanding solution you can build, integrated, or introduce to your enterprise, it can't really work. And you only get to know that once you're in production or even development stage. So I think the first step is definitely to look at your data and create that uniformity across the board and build out that database before we even create that roadmap. Once you have a database in place, and we work with that, we absolutely help enterprises create that roadmap. Then you walk into the design, implement, and plan, or whatever stages. And that could, depending on the complexity, could take 6 weeks to sometimes 6 months. So no definitive answer. Yeah.
So I have 2 questions. One is, has there ever been any incidences where the AI did not work as planned, but it's already, with the user, in production? And the second question is, there's so many different products that are kind of similar to what you have built or what you're building. What would be kind of the differences that your products would offer?
I will take the first question and I'll ask my staff to answer the second part. Have there been, and correct me if I'm wrong, have there been incidents in production where AI agents did not perform based on the objectives that where your instructions were given? The answer is absolutely yes. And that's why the hallucinations still happen. The only difference is the models have improved over the course of time. Has it reached 100% accurate stage? No. Has it gone from a 50% to 80% or 70%? Sure. So yeah, day in, day out, those things still fail, but it's just the guardrails and all those structures that have improved so much. The remediation that took 2 days now probably takes like a TFS call, 20 minutes, and then you're able to remediate quickly. I'm sure my colleagues can expound more on that.
I think as he highlighted for the GoTest Pro, the conception of the tool was from one of our clients, right? Similarly, the tools that you're seeing today is the conception is from clients. When I say client, we worked or did the POC with the university. So we had these subject matter experts with us, the end users, professors, students. So they were testing like we were building, right? And it's not like a one-shot thing. You build it, you put it into the production. But it took a lot of regression. We just keep on improving, getting different aspects. So just trying to make sure that we are covering everything. And I'm pretty sure today, even in production, after 2 years, it can still make mistakes. But the idea is that we keep on improving with the feedback that we get from the clients.
I'm going to address the second question. Feel free to chime in, anybody. There are many solutions out there like these that we just demoed today. What helps to stand us out on that, right? A tough question. I appreciate you asking those questions. I think the one thing that jumps out is some of those other solutions are plug and play, and there's a perimeter that you have to walk in that perimeter, which means you can't customize it too much. And even if you can, it will take months. We kind of, our architecture and the way they're designed, they're not monolithic. They're very much in the advanced modern stages, which means you're able to customize it, utilize it as an out of the box, and customize within a few days' time. So while they may look like some of those are plug and play solutions, believe me when I say this, many of these solutions out there in the market are very not much customizable. You know, this is an area that you have to play with. So I think one of the biggest areas where we shine is not just with the flexibility of the architecture, but also the customization abilities. So for example, we're working with academia, but then there are some nuanced use cases for an insurance player. We're able to work with them and iterate and come up with a better customizable solution, but using these solutions as the foundational models. So I would say that the flexibility is definitely one of the reasons. And of course, backed with our experience working with enterprises, it's over 20 years. And third, because I'm biased towards my company.
I have a question. So for the third demo that you showed, how do you handle PII data? Because you're working with employers. Data you might be accessing or handling SSN or personally identified information.
There are options to mask them. But what we have seen from clients that they still don't want to take that risk. But there are possible ways with like content safety, filters, a lot of things that you can apply. But I mean, in experience, I haven't seen clients exposing PII databases directly to the large language models. But there are possibilities.
I mean, it's architected in a way that we make sure that all the security standards are being followed, like encryption and threats, and transit, all the standards, best practices.
Pretty cool.
The questions. Please fire away. Go ahead.
So the class buddy, so you've already got it set up to get the textbooks and scheduling and the class notes and turning in reports and things. Do you have something built out like that for like healthcare or for insurance, or because I'm hearing that you do have some of that already built, but do you have that fully fledged solution?
So just to be clear, your question is ClassBuddy is mainly geared towards the education sector. Is there something out there for insurance players that uses the same concept? Right?
Yeah, I think I'll come back to McKinnon's presentation where he was showing 4 different building blocks: knowledge and actions. So that is like the knowledge could be from learning management system. It could be from your policy document, right? Any ERP system, right? And then actions that you want to take on behalf of someone's, chat interaction can be to an API call to your current ERP, CRM, or anything. So it is totally extendable. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Those who are familiar with the US sort of budget system, like healthcare is one of the biggest sort of ticket out there. And the challenges with healthcare is, like as you mentioned, if the data is not curated or well placed, you can't find much solution. There was one slide which you had shown a workflow of Bedrock. Figure out the foundation model, and then you show your workflow.
Right.
You can actually have visual of customer.
Right.
I think the challenges with healthcare is first, we don't have much knowledge or we don't know some of the foundation models. Second is creating that workflow. To give you a simple example is, I'm in radiology, so let's say in a CAT scan. Workflow over there is not that complex. It's humans in the loop and beat the patient out. So the task involved is how do you actually create that? So the question is, can you help your client say, well, you don't have to start from the scratch, creating Word doc, Excel, and all that stuff. We can actually create a visual workflow for you. Observe the workflow, and you create a workflow. And so this is the current workflow, and let's customize it.
So you're saying the data is not ready to be ingested by the AI, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
I mean, you can start, but I would.
Yep. I think data preparation is very important. It has to be ready. to be ingested. Otherwise, what you're saying is like more customized version of a large language model, as I understand. If I had to take that problem from a medical industry, I would probably go with fine tuning a specific or a foundation large language model so that it becomes specialized, understands medical jargon, right? So you guys use terms which I use today in like general conversations is very different than like medical industry. So it's like making it specialized on that, those jargons, those, text and all. So we would definitely see some, progress there.